I'm Leah Tindale, and this is Note to Self. And I am joined today for the second episode by a very special person in my life, my beloved blister, my sister, the one and only Sarah Tindale, joining me all the way from London, UK. Hello, Sarah.
Whoop, whoop. Hello, it's great to be here.
Thanks for joining me. Second episode of season 2. I'm very excited that you're a guest. You're a very cool person in my eyes, and you always have been. You work in fashion, which makes you even cooler. So
I don't know about that.
yeah, it automatically is to me. But I'm excited to chat because I mentioned in the first episode about really helping people become their full self. And you and I both have been on a journey to what that looks like and discovering what we want that to be, what parts of ourselves we want to keep, what parts of us we want to leave behind. And so I'm curious to find out where you are at the moment in the rebuilding of yourself. But I suppose just to give people a little bit of a background to start, can you tell me about how you ended up in London?
And it could be short story, long situation. But
Yeah.
I got married young, much like a lot of Christians and much like my sister. And he was a great man in some aspects. I mean, in a lot of aspects, he was my best friend. But unfortunately, it didn't go the way I would have liked it to go. So we ended up separating. And when that separation happened, I had just been on holiday to London, and it was very much like I need to escape. I need to completely shake things up. And that moving to London felt like my only option. Within myself, it literally felt like there was nothing else I could do. Like that was it. So that's what I did 6 years ago. 6 years
Yeah.
ago, moved to London to run away from a marriage.
I feel like this is such a common thing that happens, right? You're either a person who you got to do something crazy to shift
Mm,
yourself out, but it also ends up being like because you're chasing something that you've always wanted to do. Like for yourself, I know you always had this dream of living overseas. So did you find that the voice of yourself became louder than, say, the shoulds of staying in a marriage or trying, like, how did you come to listen to that voice of something that you've always wanted to do rather than, I suppose, staying in Australia?
it felt like I said, it felt like there was no other choice. I think that's always sort of what happens to me. I sit on decisions for a really long time, or I sit on things for a really long time until my body is like, no, no, you can't do this anymore. Like even when I first came to London, I got into a relationship with a guy, and I stayed with him for 2 years, and it was not a healthy relationship. It was a toxic relationship, and it was a rebound, obviously, but it was a toxic relationship, and I still even stayed in that until my body physically did not let me stay there anymore. And I think part of my journey of getting to know myself is actually learning to listen to my body, because it comes early. Like in the last year or 2 years, I've dated other people, and I've felt that rejection early when it's like, I don't need to be here. This is not for me. And it's been learning to listen to that quicker, I guess, and go,
Hmm.
okay, no, actually, let's sit with that rather than take 2 years or 8 years to
Yeah.
run away.
What are some of the things that have helped you like dial into that part of yourself to trust yourself? Because I think I'm the same, and we are cut from the same cloth. So we second guess ourselves a lot. So what have
Mm.
been some of the pillars over the last few years that have been like game changing in like, okay, no, let's listen to that?
Um, well, I started journaling when I first moved to London, and I think that was a huge part of helping process. But I don't think I gave it as much credit. But I don't ever read back over my journaling, but I just think I don't know. It just helped process something and slow down and everything and just helped me have some revelations. But I actually think another massive part, well, just thinking about it now when you asked me, is probably friendships. Really good, amazing female friendships, obviously female. That why the men never no.
No,
Just
no.
kidding. It's not a hate men episode. No,
No, this is not a hate on podcast.
female friendships that really, like, for whatever reason, they saw me as incredible, and they saw me as like this amazing person. And I might get emotional now. And I still don't even know why sometimes. I'm like, why do you see that? Why do you want to hang out with me? Like, I don't know. But I think that's a huge part of healing and self-discovery is like going, well, you see me this way. I need to look at that a little bit more. And if you trust me with what I have to say, then I need to trust me with what I have to say. So that's a huge part of it. And then also, well, maybe this is a bit even more recent, but just like allowing space for myself and the things that I love, and like trying to encourage like that child within me to come out a bit more silliness. I lost the silliness for a long time, and I think that helped.
Yeah, so tuning into that silly part of yourself that you might squash, and then
Mm,
also having friendships that probably can dial that up as
for
well,
sure. Like
and
safe
journaling.
spaces. With the friendships, it really was just like, why do you think I'm so nice? Like, there's got to be something there.
It's funny as well, though, because I think if you have been squashed for quite some time, of course, you're not going to believe that your friends out there could, love and cherish you or see you in
Mm,
that way. I'd like to dive into both of those things because I think they're very interesting points. And obviously, journaling is something that's been well discussed at length by lots of people, and I highly recommend also. Curious to find out more about the part of losing your silliness. I think that's also very common for women. We can get caught up in a lot of like to-dos and shoulds or whatever, and that childlike sense of play is very quickly the one that can disappear. Was there a point where you realized that was happening before you were in London, or has it only been something you've realized retrospectively?
I definitely think I felt it, but I wasn't fully conscious of it happening. Like I have this very specific memory of you and I is when we both worked for a specific clothing brand. I'm not sure if we're allowed to
Yeah.
name things on this. And we went to the Christmas party together, which was absolutely amazing because two sisters taking over Christmas party is the best ever. But
So good.
I was so in awe of you that night because you just, and I think we've talked about it since, and you've said that you weren't necessarily feeling your best, but you were just going for it. But in my eyes, you were this just amazing goddess that just walked out onto the dance floor and she was just owning it. Nobody else was dancing and she was just giving it her all. And I was just trying to keep up. I was like, yeah, I'm cool and chill and silly and I don't care. And I just wanted to embody what you were carrying. And honestly, this is basically just that's little sister looking after my big sister my entire life and still to this day. But I think that was a little revelation of I know that this is within me. Where is she? Why isn't she able to live so freely? That was how long ago? That was over 10
Oh,
years
so
ago. That would have been
long.
like 12 years ago or something. And I wasn't so was the word like cognitive of it at the time. And
Mm.
I think only since moving to London and getting out of the relationship where I, felt like I had to be in control all the time. And that because I needed to be in control, needed to feel that control, it meant that silliness left. I didn't know until I was out fully.
I think it's an interesting thing, like that particular memory that you've got. Obviously, I remember that as well. And it sort of links to your point of friendship because we've been very lucky in the fact that you and I are very good friends. And I think the role that you have played to inspire me and remind me and challenge me is similar, like within each other. And we can't ever see the things in ourselves, but we can see it in each other. And so I think you were the first sister friend, did that for me as you know, being bloody annoying at the same time. Um,
Yeah, the
but I
challenges were
think
still there.
that's a really interesting like reminder. Was there any other points over the time that you remember being like, oh, this is somewhere I want to be? Like, have you had other people that have inspired you outside?
Yeah. Every single person I meet, I feel like everybody's. I like get these little nuggets of like, oh, like this little like gorgeous, bit of you. I'm like, of that, that sounds like mining people.
No, no, I know what you mean.
But like all of my girlfriends, obviously also some of my guy friends, but they all bring this like little bits of gold. It's just incredible the women that I've watched, really like hone in on themselves and learn who they are and what they love. That like, it's like those little bits in all of my friendships are like so healing and incredible.
In all of this, it's very easy to talk about now, like when you're sort of on the other side. But there is often through this journey a real struggle with confidence and self-worth. And even make that choice, like for me, to leave my ex-husband is so heavy and so big.
Mm.
What's some of the stuff that's helped you with your confidence, and how do you find confidence in situations that are super tough and challenging?
I have a probably twofold answer. I mean, I feel like a lot of my answer is the same thing. My friends, because they're the best in the whole wide world. But that is genuinely a part of it. They've been such a huge part of my healing. And that's part of the confidence. Like when you've got friends that are building you up and you feel good around them and you feel yourself around them, obviously the confidence is going to come out too. That being said, that's still a long journey because I moved over here and I was a mess. And
Mm.
I would do things that I would, go out with some of my friends on the weekend and make these poor decisions and go home and cry for a week and journal for a week. And my journaling was literally like, why am I doing this? This isn't me. This isn't who I want to be. What is going on? But I didn't really even, I didn't know how to be me and I didn't have that autonomy. So it obviously was not an overnight thing. And even now I still do self-destructive things, obviously.
Of course.
Because of course. But I think one of the other things that has really helped me in the last year or so, 2 years, my therapist um, sort of went through this internalized imagery thing with me where she really made me like sit back, go quiet, and focus on creating a little safe space in my chest. And a little, and I'm maybe lots of therapists do this, but it was great for me. But, when she first asked me to do that, there was no space for me in my chest. I was like, no, I don't fit there. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't fit there. And she was like, well, like, visualize like digging it out. And so that first space in my chest that I created and I saw was literally a little cave that I was fetal positioned in. Obviously, that's the only way I felt safe in that moment. But it was still a safe space. It was a safe space within my chest. And it was very much about visualizing that and creating that safe space. And immediately when I went in there and I had that, even though it was tiny and I was just in a ball, I felt safe and I could go and I used that. And I remember the first day I remembered to go out into the world. And I think I was going to meet a new friend or maybe go on a date or do something new. And before I walked into the meeting, I went into that and I went into that little space and I feel like maybe it had grown a tiny, tiny bit bigger, but I went in there and and I just felt like, oh, I safe, I felt like I could walk into that meeting. I wasn't vulnerable anymore. I was safe in myself. And I remember post that as well, I just had so much confidence. I walked down the street and I saw a girl and she was wearing some sick shoes or something. And I was like, just need to stop you. You're looking, I love you. I just gave her a compliment and
That's so
I,
good.
and I was like, that is me. I love that. And before that, I would have never had the confidence to stop someone in the street just to tell them how hot they are. And so that was amazing. And then since then, that little space in my chest has grown and now she's got a couch and now she's got some furnishings going on and she's chilling, like she's got her feet up. And so that has been a huge element, I think, of getting my confidence back.
I love that. And I also love how therapy is like, yeah, all therapists end up using the same stuff on us. We're all broken in the same way because like,
No.
yeah, like I've got a similar space. I don't even remember where on the journey that it came up and was started to be being created.
Mm,
But yeah, that is a place that I go to regularly. And I suppose the next evolution of that now is exploring the, capital S self. I don't know if you've done much with that. Your inner essence, the true you outside of everything else. In a few different meditations and therapies, rediscovering her, because as soon it's like connecting when you connect with who you really are, no one can argue with that, like even yourself, if
yeah,
that makes sense.
for sure, you're right. Like if at work, whatever, if someone comes back, if you get negative feedback or if someone
Yes.
decides they don't like you and you're like, well, why wouldn't you like me? But that doesn't affect you the same way because you're
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, you've got your own stuff going on, or whatever.
How do you stay in that space? Because I find for myself, I drop in and out all the time, and then it's like 2 weeks later, I'll be like, oh yeah, like I'm really living in my anxious self. I'm not living in my true self.
I definitely drop in and out. I'm not like this
You're
healed whole
perfect,
person.
right?
I'm
Aren't
just
you?
sitting in my chest all the time. But I think I'm better at recognizing for sure. And and shrugging it off. At work now, I'm sort of like, it's not that deep. Like, work shouldn't affect your inner self. Like, you shouldn't be deeply anxious about
No.
work or about impressing your boss or whatever. And so I think I'm a bit more like, yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't have a wise answer for you in this one, probably. But I just think I've gotten better at shrugging it off. You know, a girl that was sort of my friend, she's sort of a friend of a friend. And so we don't see each other that much. But I think, you know, she got offended by something because I didn't wish her a happy birthday on her birthday because I don't have birthdays in my calendar and I'm quite bad at that. And I put my hand
You
up and
are.
say, I'm bad at wishing birthdays. And I'm bad at contacting people, and I get it, and I'm sorry for that. Anyway, so she didn't invite me to her birthday. But you know what? I'm like, you know, I know my heart. I know that I'm a good person, and I know that I don't have any ill intention. And I'm just able to remind myself, like, you know, she's probably, you know, there's other things going on. It's not about me. I'm not the center of
Yes.
everybody's universe.
Yeah. This is really
And
such a
I
pivotal
can,
point.
I can be this, yeah, I can be the center of my own universe.
Nonchalant. You're so much more like chill than I am. I'm like, no, yes, it is. There's more layers here for
Yeah, and there
both of
probably is a
Diane.
million yet layers, but I have no interest in unwrapping them.
And that's also
Don't know.
very interesting. Like, I do talk to people sometimes. There's a couple of our friends who are like, no, there's nothing else going on. I'm like, but how can there not be anything going on? And I'm so wired such a different way that I could be like, you can't be happy to not look deeper. What do you mean? But I have to
Within
be like, some people
themselves,
are.
that is
Yeah.
crazy. I think I'm the same, but you know, they do say that that's also an element of, there's like doing that too much can be unhealthy because you're over intellectualizing
Yes.
rather than actually feeling and sitting in it.
Well, I think this is my point as well. And I think that's something that's important to remember, that there's a difference between reflection, navel gazing, that's self-indulgent, and then
Mm.
like to your point about, oh, it's the world doesn't revolve around me, but there's like that fine line between where teach people to be reflective and to take stock and protect your peace and whatever but then at the other side, I have to also take in the fact that everyone's on their own journey and they've got their own things and it doesn't actually affect me at all. But
It's hard.
one of my favorite sayings is, um, there is nothing more dangerous for someone, nothing more paralyzing than a kind of isolating fixation on oneself, in which world history, human life, society, in short, everything disappears, and in an egotistic circle, one constantly sees only one's navel, which I really like because as a society, I feel like we're so obsessed with self-help sometimes that it's a bit too much, rather than if we just focused on like the amazing things that people are doing and how we can help other people and how we can show up for someone else. Like say in your situation with the friend, how can you show up for her, say, rather than if you decided you were going to be hurt, what could you do? And you become proactive rather than a lot of people, unfortunately, now you hear people being like, well, that's not my problem. They should have just get over it. Rah, rah. Like there's a fine line between those two things of where you are at being chill and being like, oh, she didn't invite me, like that's fine. Like, and then there's the other side, which is being proactive.
Yeah, 100%. It's also, I guess, that, you know, it's the conversation how that's going on at the moment about the same thing, about people are so self-focused that we're losing community because of that. And everybody wants a village, but nobody's willing to be a villager. And
Yes, great one.
you have to be that. And I watched a TikTok, I think, last night with this girl, and it was literally about that. She was like, I want a village, so I'm going to be the villager. And she was just like, it was a video of her like doing this littlest thing. Her housemate had texted her being like, I've had such a shit day. And so she went and met her housemate at the train station to pick her up and walk her home.
Cute, love that.
You know, just a little tiny thing where she went, tiny little cost for her makes a world of difference for her friend, creating that village.
I do think it's interesting because you're talking about friends being such a pivotal part now of your healing and like moving forward, and discovering yourself. But I know previously we've both struggled in the friendship space and people will be like, what? Not the Tindales? But yes. And I do find this very interesting because I think you found some great core people wherever you've gone. You've had one or two or whatever. But I've really noticed, and I had decided, and also I moved around too much, so there's that problem too. But you get to a point, and I don't know if you do this, where you decide to be the friend and the villager anyway, even if those people aren't going to be your village. And eventually you end up finding the people that reciprocate. Because I think for the longest time, I would do these things and I give of my heart and I just, love fiercely and with every morsel. And then it would be like, I'd be in need or I'd have an accident or something would go wrong health-wise and no one would be in my camp. And that
Mm.
took me a long time to recover from and to not be so wounded. And I'd be so caught up because I'd see on socials like people loving on someone else in the friendship group and I'm not understanding why that doesn't come back to me. And I still don't really understand why that works, but
Yeah, I think I'm the same. And I went through a thing last year where I really felt that because I went through, for the people listening at home, I went through a medical situation and I went into a pit of despair and depression because of that. And I really felt that. So I was like in that situation. I think like what you were saying, like, oh, Tyndale girls know that, I think that people assume we're good. I think that people assume that we've got other people doing that. I don't, and
yeah,
I think that is not necessarily actually a reflection of like how cool we are. I think it's more a reflection of where they're at. And, people are like, well, they don't need me. Like, what good can I do or whatever? Like, and I think that a lot of people do that within a village out of their own insecurity. And then people are, feeling unloved or feeling lonely.
yeah. And I think that's the point of this thing is as well of discovering your true self, because then when you make a decision to do something because it's in line with your core values and who you know you are, whether somebody does something back for you, it doesn't matter as much because you would have done it
Mm,
anyway.
yeah. Yeah. And you're like, this is just who I am. So I'm
Yeah.
going to help you move house or I'm going to bake you a cake. Just the things that I
Yeah,
do.
exactly. Yeah. I will never help anyone move house, just so you know.
I hate it. I hate it with every fiber of my being, but I want them to do it for me. Of
Yeah,
course,
okay.
what I'm really revealing is that I'm selfish and awful.
No, you see, like I'd bring you a hamper at the end of the day and I'll
Yeah,
sit on the floor
fine.
and drink wine and I'll bring a pasta that I made. But I'm sorry, I will not move your fridge. Get a removalist.
You would help me unpack my clothes.
Only because then I want some of them.
Yeah, but look, we're all inherently selfish human beings, aren't we?
Anyway, so the final question though, before I let you leave and go about your day, live your best freezing cold London life, is what is a current note to self that you are sitting with at the moment that's quite like, oh, I want to remember that. That's really helpful. And it can be about what we're talking about, with self-love and journey and acceptance, or it can be completely out of the blue of whatever you feel like you're at.
I mean, it's all a bit of that journey. I think something at the moment. So I do this thing every year where I do no plan Jan because London is crazy, life is
Yeah.
crazy, and you can very easily be out every night of the week and have no space for yourself. My sacred night was always a Monday when I would do yoga and Saturday morning when I would do yoga and journal, but it's not enough to really rest
Not in London.
not die. But also because London is like, even when you're just at home in your room, there's like the world is still going. And I think if you're really like, engaged, empathetic person, you feel that wherever you
Yeah.
are. So you really have to create space. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. But one thing, so I do know Plan Jan, and it sort of sets me up for the year really well because I can accept plans day of or whatever, but I'm not planning ahead. And the point of that is to make space, not even just to rest, but to sit within my body when a plan comes in and go, do I want that? Like, what do I
Mm.
actually want? And so it's a little tool of me, again, listening to myself and engaging with myself rather than my shoulds, like, oh, well, I've made this plan to meet this friend. I haven't seen this friend in ages. I need to meet up with that person. I
Mm.
need to do this. I should be doing all of these things. It's a reminder of going, okay, no, what do I actually want? And what does my body want right now? Maybe I want a night at home, or maybe I really want a Negroni or whatever, or maybe I want that friend, whatever it is. And it's really good. And I think I've done it for 3 years now and I'm getting better at then not needing it. And the rest of the year unfolds in a way where I'm paying attention more. And it's really nice. And so that I've just come out of it and I'm feeling really good. And I've got plans, obviously, because I'm
Miguel in
type
London,
A
of
and
course.
I'm a type A. But I've got plans now for all of them, basically. But I'm not crazy amount, and I'm really listening to myself. And before I make a plan, I'm like, do I want that? And that's really nice.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's a fantastic, good note to self. If anyone else is feeling like they're wanting to identify what is me and what is, society, other partner, friends, pressure. And my therapist has got me doing a very similar thing as well with like many decisions, even down to the point of like, sometimes I beat myself up. Oh, you need to go to the gym. You need to go. Otherwise you're a fat piece of blah, 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 blah. Anyway, negative self-talk.
Yeah. You wouldn't say that to me.
No, I wouldn't, but I'll say it to me happily. But then to stop and be like, okay, because she says in that moment you've got two things working. You've got the part of you that really is craving rest, and you've got the part of you that's the driver. They're two parts of me that are always at. And she said there's nothing wrong with the driver. It motivates you. It's the reason why I've been able to do lots of things in my life. The problem is that the driver then makes the rest part feel guilty. So if you can give yourself that pause and even like do some mindful breathing, like a box breathe of like 4 in, 4 out, and ask yourself that question, what do I need right now? And then even if you go, yes, okay, I do need to go to the gym. I am going to go to the gym. And you're choosing not to rest, you are going to have less conflict, less guilt about whatever happens after that because you took the time to check in first.
Yeah.
And goes the other way too. Maybe you go, no, I do need to rest. So I think that's such a great tool to have. And gosh, I find it so hard. And I love that you take a whole month to do that, because I find I forget all the time.
Yeah, it's really hard. I don't think you could do that in Australia. Maybe you could do no plan July.
Because there is no plans in July. That's the problem.
Yeah. Also, though, in Australia, there aren't really many plans either.
Excuse me.
Like, you know what I mean? There's just a lot more.
It's crazy though with the amount of stuff that is on, and you can be busy no matter where you are. If you want to be busy, you can be busy. And even if there's something on, you can be busy in your own head. Like, that's probably my problem. But I think that's really, really helpful and a really good thing. So hopefully you found that helpful if you're on your journey as well of like trying to discover, because there is a lot of illuminating things. The only thing that's a little bit annoying, I told my partner Corne that this is what I'm trying to do, and then we were at a restaurant and I ordered something, but I'm pretty sure they gave me the wrong wine because it tasted really weird, and I was like, no, I think they gave me the wrong. Yeah, I was like, and he's like, is that what you want to do, or is that like what you think you should do? Do you need to have a couple of minutes? And I was like, no, in this situation it's fine. Wine's wine and I'm happy.
Interesting point from him, because sometimes we then go, oh no, it's fine, because we don't want to make a fuss. We don't want to seem too much as a woman. We're like, no. I need to fit into this box. I need to be appropriate in this restaurant. I want them to think I'm the best patron they've ever had.
Never thought that in my life.
So I will take this wine and I will enjoy it, instead of being like, hey, this isn't what I wanted.
Because I didn't know. I didn't know exactly if it was what maybe it was. I got like, when you think you're ordering like a filtered something or other, and then it's not as filtered. So then you think, is this the right thing? And so then you just go.
You know what though? A lot of the privileged people in our society will just be like, oh, I actually don't like this. Can I get a different one? And even if it's...
You panic on my face. How can you do that?
Yeah. Even if it is what you ordered, but you thought it was going to be something else. A lot of people would go, actually, when I was in Ibiza last year.
Speaking about privileged people, sorry.
No, and I was at a table with very privileged people, like people that I'd never dream of sitting at a table with. And this is one of the girls, she was so funny. First of all, she was like, I just want champagne. They didn't have any champagne on the menu. She was like, I can't have, she can't have brut, she can't have sparkling, she just needed champagne. Anyway, she was like, fine. And I was like, oh, they've got some really good natural wines on the menu. And she was like, absolutely not. Anyway, so she ordered something. She was like, I'll try this glass. And she tried it. They wouldn't give her a taste. She ordered a glass and she was like, no, I don't want that. That's terrible. Can I have something else? And just the confidence, because she was like, well, why not? Like, I'm going to enjoy my meal and I'm going to enjoy my wine, and I'm out here. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I would drink a whole bottle of something that I didn't like just to impress.
But I do think as well that's because we have to pay for it.
Well, yes.
So I think that's really what comes in to, is because I'm like, well, I don't want to pay for another glass.
In that instance, sure. But also in other instances, people are like, oh, I actually don't like this. Can I try something else? But aside from the money, like I don't know. I think it's good. You're like, you don't like
Yeah.
it, I don't want it.
Yeah, the confidence is great. I don't know how to exercise that muscle. Got any tips?
No, I've got no tips on that one.
Great.
Yeah.
I feel like we started off very strong with some clear guidelines and outlines, and now we're sliding into the reality is that we don't really know what we're doing and we're just figuring it out.
But we have come a long way.
This is very true.
Like, you've noticed in me, I'm so much more chill than I used to be.
Yeah, I love chill, Sarah. I always know when you're doing okay because I'm allowed in the kitchen with you. That's my sign. When you're not okay, I'm not allowed in the kitchen.
Yeah. I just
And
don't go in the kitchen anymore.
you're like, I'll just only have takeaway when you're around, and it's fine.
No, I'm just looking for someone else to cook for me now. I'm not doing the cooking anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's where we should all be heading, where we
Yeah.
can just, bring in the help. But I think that is a great spot to leave it. But thank you for all your wisdom and your insight. I'm excited to see where you go this year and how you continue to sparkle and shine as the wonderful Sarah Tindale that you are. And I'm excited to learn from you too. It's a rare thing to be able to learn from a sister friend. So don't you think?
Yes.
You look
I think,
perplexed.
I don't know if it's a rare thing. I think we learn whether we want to or not, but I think it's a beautiful thing. And I'm really excited to learn from you this year as well.
If you want Sarah to come back as a guest, then make sure you leave a comment or send us a DM, Leah_Tindale_. Follow me there, or you can follow along with Note to Self on TikTok, which is just Note to Self_podcast. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you so much.